Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess show on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and we have today's guests is Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Um, Thank you very much for having me on again.
It's always my pleasure. And we have founder of our network. Um, he is a three times Florida chess champion, Nick Poliveda. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hey, Sasha.
Great to have you. So we just witnessed one of spectacular tournaments on the Isle of Man, which just finished a few days ago. And Ken, what was the most remarkable thing for you in this tournament?
So the most remarkable thing, as people said, fairly unprecedented, was that in the penultimate round, the round that in golf is called the moving up round, 7 players on the top board did just that. This was said to be the first time that as many as 7 top boards in a major Swiss all featured decisive games. And I'm also calling out Elshan Moradiabadi in last week's show said he wanted to see decisive games. Well, we got 7 of them. So I'm going to start with the game between the two Americans. This was, you could call it possibly a strategic masterpiece on Hikaru's part. Fabio Caruana was leading the tournament for a while, and he also seemed to be the player who was in the best form coming into Isle of Man. But Nakamura stopped him with the white pieces in very much a controlled show. But then I'm going to segue to 2 games in this and the last round by the hard-charging Vidit, who won clear first after losing in his first round. But I should even go, even the game between Hans Niemann, who was, sort of on the edge of contention then against Anish Giri, is a very complicated, interesting game. So I may show some of that. But first, let's begin with Hikaru's win over Caruana. Mm-hmm. So we play the 4 Knights game. Maybe this will also make a resurgence. This can become a positional game. And players play one of the main lines. And so Black is able to strike back in the center. And when I was an aspiring young player, this was considered equal boring and nobody played it therefore. Now Black can afford to castle. White can't win a pawn because rook e8 check will be too annoying. So White just castles. Now Black recaptures. It's a interesting but ultimately not significant transposition of moves. Now White plays there to stop a black piece from going to g4. So what's interesting about here is White talks about how a slow buildup can be effective. In the past, what White has done in the position instead of h3 is to play bishop g5 for direct pressure. And sometimes you double Black's pawns at the cost of the 2 bishops, but that's never led to a lasting edge for White. So Hikaru goes about it a different way. Black plays a natural move, solidifying the center. White just plays actively with the queen. Black now establishes a good center, and Black does have more space. So it's the question, what is White going to do in this position? Well, White puts some latent pressure. Now, this is not a full hanging pawn position. If White's c pawn were on e2, then this would be the hanging pawns, and practice has moved toward the side of their being weak. Here, White can't attack the c pawn frontally, but we're going to see some of that motif in the game. Black decided to ruin White's pawn structure, again at the cost of giving up the 2 bishops, and now conducts an offense on the queen side, which Black will have in this game for quite a few moves. But maybe this is the combination of these 2 moves is giving White too much freedom on the king side. So here we go. Now it's not just doubling the pawn. It would be wrecking Black's king position and capturing a pawn. So Black comes in with the knight. Now this is a temporary pawn sacrifice. If White were to take on e4, actually Black would capture on c3. But it's reasoning, the bishops opposite colors. And black does have a nominal edge in this position because there are 4 good pawns to 3 on the king side, whereas white's 3 versus 2 on the queen side are stunted. However, when you have an opposite color bishop position, it favors the attacker, and it favors the attacker who is able to create and exploit weak squares of the color opposite to the opponent's bishop. And it's white who is better placed to do that. The engine, doesn't see a terrible edge for white at the moment, but in fact, I think this position is very tricky for black to play. It would be less tricky if black could magically transport the queen over here. Then that would squelch white's initiative, but that's not how black went to play. Okay, so black avoids white's threat of playing bishop f6, which would have created a huge hole on the king side. Now white plays this move. This is really a very fine move. I'm not sure if I would have had the patience to play it. I guess you could say that maybe black really was attacking this pawn, that even though it self-pinned the bishop, there's no way for white to load up on it. And black might be able to go queen a6 to e6 and then really be a pawn ahead. All right, so this is, but one other fact in the position is black cannot oppose rooks on the d files. Black plays rook e8, natural move.
Hold on, can I ask you a question before we went too far?
Yep.
Instead of rook e8, could black play a silly move c4 with the idea queen f5 and queen g6, which you suggested earlier yourself?
Yeah, in fact, let's see. So the engine wants black to do actually is play f6, and I was thinking of that.
Yeah, that's also reasonable.
It's generally good to put your pawns on the opposite color, and that's seizing some of the dark square territory around the king. Let's see, if I play c4, okay, well, the engine doesn't like it, and the engine is just worried about actually what Nakamura pulled off in the game. White rerouting the bishop to this square, the bishop. So the defect of c4 is that it makes d4 an absolute periscope square for white. But
if you're able to play queen f5 and queen g6 and then rook d8, I really don't see much progress for white in this situation.
Yeah, let's see.
Even if you play bishop e5 or bishop d4, that's okay, because I can easily defend the g7 pawn. And other than that, there is nothing to be scared of.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe let's just
I just follow your own suggestion.
Yeah, let's just randomly click on the position after white moves the queen. And I have to say this looks better for white. White's pieces are more active. Black's pawns are, it's the pawns are symmetrical, but white's pieces are just on better squares.
Yeah.
So maybe Caruana came in with enterprising thoughts of his own. Okay, so I would certainly say the queen a5 move speaks to that. So now rook e8, rook d6, a toe hold, which the rook cannot easily be opposed. And now black played h6, which is in some ways more of a weakening than f6. We'll see that this is actually a crucial weakening about 5 moves down the road. So now bishop f4, white's rerouting the bishop as said. And now rook e7. It's easy to drift in in a position like this. The engine says what actually follows from what I just said. Since white's bishop is no longer guarding d8, it would have been consequent to follow by trying to eliminate the attacking white pieces. And then black is worse, but not terribly worse. But again, it may be, I didn't see the interview with Caruana, maybe he was just trying to play enterprisingly. I mean, rook e7 isn't even defending anything that needs defense. So it's really a very puzzling move in my mind. Now the engine says is not the best move, but this is really part of a very fine plan by white. So the engine says that white should have actually played this move, and Jacob Agard talked about this on Twitter. Okay. Grandmaster Agard, because what this move does is something that computers tend to think of and humans don't. This move creates the potentiality of lifting the rook to g3. And the computer can see that because black's queen is off to the side, black is going to have a very hard time defending against this. especially since in some lines, white is able to play queen h4 with tempo, hitting h6 and hitting e7. So I don't know if I'll go down the main line, but the main line is one in which white sacks on e6 and then is able to bring the rook over, and black has to shed material.
H6, you mean? Yeah.
H6, yeah, white sacks on h6, yeah. So anyway, but Nakamura's plan is now the sacrifice in h6 is definitely on. The e4 pawn may fall. So just putting positional pressure. And once again, black's position very difficult to defend. So the engine says, well, if a bad plan is better than no plan at all with rook e7, you might as well have followed through by doubling the rooks. And then I don't know what happens. I guess the idea is queen e4, bishop takes h3 is then possible. But instead, Caruana overprotected the c pawn. So that now just gives white too much of an initiative. And here's another funny thing. Bishop e7 simply wins a pawn for nothing. I mean, I don't know what defense black was intending, but queen takes h6 is threatened. And if black guards it, then this is losing a pawn with check. So I don't know. Bishop e5, it looks like total domination to me. The only other playable move for black is bishop is f6. But this is now, maybe this is also one of the main lines that I'm thinking. And this may be what the players, in fact, this is exactly what the players didn't comprehend. So this is the reason why Hikaru did not play bishop e5. So the players must have reached the conclusion that this would be at most a draw for white. Queen takes h6 or rook a d1.
It looks winning to me.
Yeah, it looks strong to me, I must say. You just play rook a d1, and the point is, what can black do? I guess white has a stranglehold on the position. I don't see where the fatal blow is going to come from, because it's going to take a while for white's rook to come over. But white can certainly win a bunch of pawns like this. So you've got 3 pawns for the piece, and you've got a strong attack. So this must just be killing. So perhaps the players underestimated the necessity of white to sacrifice the bishop in that position. Okay, but anyway, it's not what Hikaru did. Hikaru sacrificed the bishop right away. So there must have been something that he saw better than this. But now the defect of this is at the cost of a pawn black can get rid of, can challenge on the e file. Either by rook d7, I guess there's some tactical reason why rook e8, rook d8 doesn't work. I guess let me figure out. I can't see it myself why rook d8 fails here, because that's the move I would consider first. Mate of your rook. Whoops. No, you don't want to allow that. Okay. That's why rook d7 is neat. Yes. Okay. However, black played f6. Okay. So this is deflecting some of the attack. This rook is now guarding some of this rank. Now white just grabs another pawn and is attacking the bishop on e6. So white says, thank you very much. I'm going to be a pawn ahead. Okay, black tries to restore, actually hasn't restored equality. White is just a pawn ahead. And this was considered another one of Hikaru's very fine moves, because in some position, rook d3 and this lift is going to come into play. So black plays the rook to e8, thus stamping rook c8 as having been a fatal loss of tempo. And now white can choose among numerous ways to win. Okay,
that way.
The rook d8 move. So this is just now eliminating defenders one by one. And the problem is black's queen is not part of the defense. So black plays bishop g8 to try and huddle up. Now queen h4, okay, might not have been the most incisive move, but if you look, it's actually winning just as well. This is the most incisive move.
Right.
And then maybe it was rejected because the idea of letting black's queen get back with a check, you look ahead and you think that maybe black can organize a defense in this position. But if you have an engine, then you can see not. And ultimate problem. So you're thinking of this as white, well, can I crash through with this attack? After a move like queen e8, I can't crash through. But then black's queen side is now scored with a move like this. So the problem is that white's pieces are also going to be able to attack black on the queen side. And right now, black will have to waste moves with the pawns to get them on squares that his bishop can defend. So, all right, this needs a lot of calculation. I won't say it's obvious, but it's also a way of saying that in chess terms, I think there was nothing wrong with Hikaru's move either. It's very direct. And in actual fact, although it looks like black can grovel, it's very hard to do for play for black in this position. So queen b4 was the groveling move to try to trade queens. Black, Caruana did the natural thing and took a pawn, and now comes finally the rook d3 lift theme. Okay, now here white's position must be judged winning, and it's a matter of how you prosecute the attack. And the next move is very pretty. So again, not the best move. So the bishop came off a defensive square and allowed and opened up a pin on the last rank. So Hikaru struck with this.
Oh.
Now wait a second. The engine seems to think that black can wiggle out of it with g5, but that's not actually the case. Okay, white is just going to filter in here. So anyway, so this is very pretty. So black's frozen. If can't take either rook, white crashes through on the 8th rank.
It's so rare that you see a position like that with the 4 rooks in a little square.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a very pretty tableau. So black did play the g5 move, and now, so white's king is perfectly safe. Black's is not. Okay, so this is going to come crashing down on black. It's just a matter of how. And here we go. Now we have full control of the 7th rank, whereas black cannot really counterattack. The best black could do is play queen f4 check, I guess, but that just loses all the pawns. White trades, white picks up the f pawn. That's what Caruana did. Okay, and now take this pawn.
Didn't even want that f pawn. He would.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the f6 pawn is the one I meant that was going to go. And there's nothing for black's bishop even to attack here. So I don't know why bishop b1 was played, but oh yeah. So the other thing that was going on here is that black's rook is
well, one of the pieces was going to fall, right?
Yeah, this pawn was going to fall. Black's rook was going to fall. So white is able to trade the rooks. Now Hikaru has accurately calculated that this is a winning position.
Verse of steel, man.
Yeah, verse of steel is right. But the point is that in order to save this pawn, black has to put it on a square where white can attack it. Now, it is true that 2 connected pass pawns generically is not enough to win.
Right.
But black's bishop is going to be tied down to defending here and defending this pawn. And cannot do both. Black's pass pawn is meaningless because white's bishop is going to be able to take up a completely active square on c3. Okay, and this is in fact where Caruana gave up.
Yeah.
So positional masterpiece a masterpiece of attack and positional play, like by Hikaru. Yeah.
I think that the losing move was queen a5. Because at some point I've studied these positions, and queen a5 was never part of the black's main lines. Never.
Yeah. I mean, it may not be the losing move, but it's the losing idea.
Yes, as well. Actually, it's the losing idea even more than losing move, because you can always play queen to d8. And okay, so you lost a couple of times. It's not critical. But when it was staying whole game on a5, there must be something fundamentally wrong with this move.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Idea, probably.
So, what a fantastic game. And between 2 competitors that are, if Nakamura was, not so successful streaming, he and Fabiano would be dominating some of these events.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, Nakamura will get his chance. So someone pointed out that with Carlsen not in the picture, unless Carlsen does play in the candidates, but with Carlsen not in the picture, Hikaru has his, and Caruana maybe not in the picture, because I think Anish Giri has the inside angle on the last candidate spot. This is Hikaru's chance. Now, however, though, I must salute the winner.
Yes.
Vidit, who played the Swiss Gambit like you usually do.
Yes,
So in the first round to face players, there are no weak players in Isle of Man. So he ran quite a gauntlet. In fact, let's just see whom he defeated. So Vidit, whoops, I'm sorry, I want Vidit's. So Vidit, after losing to Ervin Lamy, okay, he beat Gupta, he beat Dmitry Kolos, he beat Shirov, he drew Nair, he beat Neiman, he beat Sindarov, he drew Nakamura, drew Esipenko, and then beat Bogdan Daniel Dietz, who's a hot young player himself, and then Alexander Predke in the last round. Well, this is pure dynamic play as black. Okay.
Hey, Ken, before you start, I was just going to ask, did you hear what he said, what he was going to do with the prize money?
No, what?
He just said he was going to buy gifts for his parents. And it was the kind of like thing you almost never hear someone say in the world. It was like a not for me. He was going to spend money on himself, and the last thing was part of the prize money. He was for the rest of his family first.
It is he's 29, so
it makes you root for him.
Yeah, that is pretty good. So we'll have both.
I think actually it makes a great anti-abortion statement because now can appreciate the merits of him being born.
Well, yes, I guess so. But we'll have both of the Vaishali and Pragnananda parents and his parents in Toronto maybe next April. Toronto. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how to play for a win is black. Play Sicilian defense, and also don't trade the bishops if white plays bishop b5 check. Okay, so now, those are all normal moves. Now we play, this will give the game the character of a Najdorf, or possibly some forms of a Sveshnikov, but really the classical Najdorf. And that's basically what we have. Okay, so now in these positions here, it's a question, black will make positional concessions. Can he inveigle white into allowing his pieces to come alive? So we'll see how black does this. Okay, so white, again, this is the knight on f3 was not particularly well placed, so we're going to move it to a circuit that will control some more key squares. But a problem in this position, though, is that white does have to protect e4. So black has more than the usual counterplay against e4. And also black playing d5 is very much in prospect here. Exactly. So now here we go. The position starts getting tactical. Okay, so white's in b3. So white is hoping to get in b5 and push black back, blow him off the board, so to speak. So black has to do something active in order not to be blown off the board. And here we go. Knight starts getting active. Now, white wanted to save his bishop. I think it is worth seeing why white cannot play b5 in this position. So why do you care if black takes the bishop? Well, the reason is that white doesn't have, without that bishop, white doesn't have quite enough supporting the b5 square. If you take and black takes and you take with the queen, black can take this pawn and you get the b pawn and it gets messy, I guess. If you take this way, then black is able to capture here and your knight's going to go out of play.
Right.
And then let's see, is something hanging in this position? No, black just plays bishop d7, and black is still pretty compact. I mean, it has cost a lot to push white back. So white therefore made the calculation to preserve the bishop. Okay, but now you've taken a move for defense. Now we're going to start bringing other things into the game. So now a question again: why can't White play b5? Well, actually, there's simply nothing supporting it right now. Well, all right, if we play b5, then capture takes. We bring your knight out of the game, and then let's see: is it just bishop b7, or is there something else more to tell you? It's just bishop d7. And now 1 point of queen c8 is that there's pressure down this file. And White's army is just not poised to back up the b5 move.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
So
black pieces are coordinated and White's are not.
Right.
Yeah.
So White has to spend another move preparing. And this is good. It gets the rook off the a file. So this is preparing b5. But now Black this is enterprising play. So if you play b5, we're going to play g4. Let's just verify that's what happens in this position here. Now, actually, Black just the computer says Black just sits and says, "What are you doing?"
Right? Yeah.
It may be unclear what the engine's evaluation really should be. I guess
basically saying you've got nothing on the queen side. Take all the space you want. I'm coming.
G4 is premature here. Okay, so it's not coming yet. Okay, so anyway, but White did not. So White played another defensive move, another organizing move on the queen side. And now G4 comes, and now Black strikes. So this has to be calculated through. So what are we doing here? So the reality is that Black is able to calculate that White is not going to be able to maintain the defense of the e4 bishop. So okay, so now yes. So look at this. This is really cute. You can't defend the e2 bishop, and the g4 pawn supplies the crucial taking away of the square. So White, however, though, can play some moves too. So this is what's really pretty, is that White sacrifices on the square just vacated by Black's knight in order to clear up e4 for the queen.
Yeah, just need one square, but
yeah. So now
Black won a pawn, right?
Black did win a pawn. There are still some holes. So now the question is, can White trade some pieces and exploit some weaknesses in Black's camp? But it's Black's move, and Black plays what looks like a defensive move, but it's actually bringing
F5,
bring out f5. So White plays this, and actually Black plays f6 instead. Again, let's see, why not f5?
Yeah.
Why not f5? Because queen c4, I guess, opens up. So it's just tactically mistimed.
That's a typical thing I would do: play f5, thinking I'm winning, and then walk into queen c4.
So f6. So now White withdraws the queen to e3. Okay, so why not queen c4 here? Let's let the all-knowing engine tell us. You just trade and play d5. So there's the point. Black is going to bring the pawns abreast this way instead of on f5. Okay.
Again, I'm looking at this position already for a few moves. It seems to me that all White's problems are because of his earlier moves a4 and b4. If these two pawns were on a2 and b2, their position would be fine. You would have no problems whatsoever.
You will certainly be proved right in a few moves with how Black takes over a key square. But yes, so it's a question of, this is skill in chess, judgment. White judged that he would be able to have time to push the b5 advance through.
Right.
But but Black played in a way that did not allow that. So here we go. Black now is able to take over c2. Okay, so this is not only winning a pawn, it's winning some key squares. White is...
Ken, I'd like to say, just to double down on what Sasha said, a4 is really typical, but the decision to play b4, kicking the knight, really was something you would look back and say, I shouldn't have done that. At the time, it might have looked good to White, but we go back to that move as the mistake that really.
This is a philosophical problem of chess, that the pawns cannot move backwards, because let's see, if you like b4, you're chasing knight to e6 or d7 or
Which
something.
is a great square.
And then you play pawn b4 back to b2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It would be nice if pawns could move backwards. I invented a form of chess in which a pawn can be rocketed backward. But so anyway, b4 is the move that Stockfish 15.1 distinctly likes here. So
we don't know what we're talking about.
maybe for human hands, the fact that pawns can't move backwards is more important. So
I'm just stunned by that.
Yeah. So anyway, so now so now we got our pawn. Now white is going to attack. Now there is always the possibility that if white gets his act together, white could have two bishops on an open board and win back black's d pawn, and then black's king side is ragged. However, d3, next key square that black is able to take over. Okay. And so black has 2 pawns up. The engine still only gives black a moderate edge. So white has won one of the pawns back, and now black comes in, and black is still playing really for attack. This knight is in the center, could have gone to f4, but it's really now the what this knight is really doing is keeping white's bishop on d2 at bay. Okay, so white played b5, finally getting that move in. Now, we again must say, what does it mean to be engine accurate versus human accurate? Black goes about consolidating. Maybe the consolidating moves aren't the most accurate according to the engine, but they're humanly effective. White tries counterattack, but black is actually going to be better placed. Okay, now rook coming into the game. And knight e3, maybe technically that's the losing move.
Wow.
That white should have played bishop e3 instead. And then what you have to see is that this is an effective exchange sacrifice. Okay, so you have to. Sorry, it's not an exchange sacrifice. Missing mate and one there. Okay, yeah. So queen d5. Yeah, that's a reason to reject bishop e3. I don't have to look anymore. So white played knight e3 to cover the g2 square.
Yeah.
But I guess if you don't have the cold nerves of steel of an engine, then, and now this is very accurately played by black. Again, in human terms, black just squelches white's counterplay.
Interesting.
And it's pawn and the initiative. White flails around a little bit, but now black's d pawn is just too powerful, and black just redeploys, comes in, and now black's bishop is going to come in. Ouch! And white gave up. This is too strong an attack.
Yeah.
Ken, maybe you remember the Grandmaster Yevgeny Sveshnikov.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I knew him well. Yeah.
In Sicilian and so on. I had a lot of conversations with him, and he was of course exaggeration, but he was saying that e4 is for white. The first move, e4, is a losing move, and because it creates unprotected e4 pawn, which can be attacked by several different ways. The only way to protect would be knight c3. So before you start attacking e4 pawn, okay, you can play c5, that's okay. But even stronger, he believes, is what Tony Miles played against Karpov and won, a6. So what a6 does, it prepares b5, and instead of knight c3, b4, and then pawn is undefensible because bishop b7, knight f6, and so on. You might as well sacrifice this pawn for some initiative if you're lucky. But actually, a6 sometimes played in this position.
Right, and I've considered playing this because there's a consensus that d4 is a weak move for white.
Yeah, because of e5.
That now black has the optimal sort of Najdorf configuration, and white can't come into d6. So the supposed flaw with a6 is it gives white an extra tempo either for an Alapon type move or to set up the Marazzi bind this way.
Yeah, I've studied
And
both.
now, if white plays c4, I as black would rather have played g6 in this position.
Sure.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's-
C4 is it looks fine because you grab extra space, but it's very committal move because even if you will be able to play later on D4 after CD, knight D4, queen D4, it doesn't matter. You have inflexible pawn structure with C4 and E4 and Hull on D4, and I don't know if it's worth going for such positions. But it's playable for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
Number C3, I've seen E6, D4, CD, CD, D5, and black has nothing to fear. It's like
yeah.
sort of a French variation with move A6. And I saw A6 intentionally played in French defense. Even I think Carlsen played a few times.
Yeah, that's right. Carlsen did. And
Yeah.
Neiman played a game where in a position like this, white played e5. This is we saw this, he played this in the U.S. Championship I think, against Aronian. Maybe where black had played a different second move, I forget.
Successfully. too.
Maybe D4 is the best for black to play.
Yeah, d4, but then, there's
Oh, that game,
weaknesses. White can
Right.
attack. It's an original position.
Yeah, yeah.
Richard Don.
Whereas in the normal c3 Sicilian, white doesn't have enough time to back up playing e5, e4 here. So anyway,
But even though A6, even in these systems, could be useful move, it covers B5 square, so there is no bishop B5 lines and so on.
yeah,
Yeah, so that was, and eventually he came up with this Sveshnikov system, which he perfected in elaborating. Instead of pure Sveshnikov, he developed Kalashnikov system, which means without playing knight f6, knight c3, he would go e5 right away.
Right.
Which would allow knight b5 and some other stuff. But he believed that that f6 first is already studied quite a bit, and everybody knows how to play against it. Right here, e5 right away.
Right.
That's Kalashnikov system. So
Ken, going to that last game, remember when he played bishop e3 and then queen d5? Why can't white just play f3? You have to go back. Remember, we dismissed bishop e3 and instead they played queen e3. You have to go all the way back to that position.
Let's see. So let's see
the queen.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. So where black played queen d5. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
in the analysis. Yeah.
In the analysis move. Yeah, we'll come to that in a moment.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So this is where we dismiss.
Right. Yeah. Just play bishop. Now play f3.
Now play f3. Okay. Let's see. Let me think about this without peeking at the computer. And let's see. How does black follow up? Because you're right.
I know we threw white under the bus pretty quickly, but then I figured, well, I'd have played f3 here, and now what? What's the?
Let's see. Are we just going to trade and rip off your b pawn? That's one thing. We just play rook takes d1 and whip off your b pawn.
That's so prosaic, Ken.
Yeah.
That actually might be too easy. Sometimes simplest is best.
Yes,
less prosaic move is knight h5.
Well,
let's see. Now let's peek at the computer. Oh, the computer wants to trade rooks and not grab a pawn. So actually, the computer says,
"Wow, takes and takes."
Rook takes.
Wait. Would you want to take with the rook or take with the queen?
Oh, let's see. Oh, you're right.
In other words, I'd rather take with the queen and then play knight d6 if he snaps.
Oh yeah, I can't play queen takes b5.
Yeah, see, that was the deal.
Okay, so the answer is black just plays this position. Let's see. So the white had to take with the queen because the white took with the rook. Then queen takes b5 was pinning the knight to white's queen.
All right.
So the answer turns out to be that with white not getting the d file, white hasn't really accomplished anything in this position.
It says black is winning.
Black is winning here?
Black. Well, that's just one pawn up.
That's
Is really
not-
so hopeless. I don't know if this is so hopeless. Let's.
Well, I didn't think the game as it went was that hopeless, but it, the technique was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, and technique wise, they would win, but
Yeah, I guess the problem actually is that white has these two weak squares.
Yeah, they're weak, right?
And black, so black isn't going to be forced to trade queens. Black can bring the queen here, and probe and eventually do something. But yeah, I guess I agree. White is at least still kicking a little bit here.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Much better than in the game, that's for sure.
Much better than in the game. Yeah, I mean, you're down a pawn, but at least it's the H pawn, and you might be able to survive. Doubtful.
yeah. So many other decisive games to choose from. Let me just very quickly play through the last moves of this one, because it was actually a very, very striking endgame.
Okay.
So I mean, Niemann's on the defense the whole way, and it looks like there were some positions where I thought white would just resign, and white kept on coming up with play, and enough to induce a mistake by Giri. So pawns are equal, but black's rook is much more active. So here white tries a jailbreak, loses a pawn over there in the process. Now you're going to lose that. The pawn that you just got that was passed is coming off the board. And now this is where I thought white was going to resign. But white, all right, try some checks. Always sees a check. It might be.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so all right, so it's white's 3 pawns down in this position, but there's a little bit of of an initiative here, and black actually has to be a little careful. So Giri played a very strangely defensive move, and now white has been let back in the game. Okay, black's king is now actually coming under a genuine attack. But here now is where Hans made an inexplicable move. I was watching and listening to the commentary while this was going on. So white should just come back with the king to f6. It's attacking stuff.
Pawns,
attacking these weak pawns and helping white usher through e6, e7, usher through the queen.
Sure.
This looks like it's attacking black's king, but it's really not. It's just in the way. And the real flaw of this move is that the b pawn is falling with check. Now I thought that Niemann was going to resign, but there's still another twist in this game. So somehow Giri gives Niemann one more chance at this position. Okay, so attacking the bishop. I thought I was going to resign in any of these moves, but now we'll see. There's one more harem scarum development to come here. Wait. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe I'm sorry. I think I'm misremembering a different game. I'm sorry. No. White has just lost here. So
I think so. But
I'm misremembering a game on a different board where the position. Yeah, no, this really is
winning.
Okay.
But,
So okay. So it says so many decisive games. It was one of these other boards where there was a last minute chance for
what a great tournament though.
Yeah, it was.
So many players.
And it's just worth noting that Vidit got first place. He didn't just agree to a draw. Well, I think he may have realized on tie breaks he needed to win for the candidates because Yasipenko was in the was potentially in the picture. I think that's why. So they both had 7.5, and I think maybe Yasipenko's tie breaks were better. So I think Vidit knew he had to go for a win, and he did it in very classical style.
Right. I did not realize that.
This was a tactical game, except that in one of black's queenside pawns fell off, and that was enough to make this a clearly winning position.
Again, so overall, we have three dominant system for tournament play in chess. It's a round-robin system, it's a Swiss system, which you just saw, and elimination system, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
each one has its own rights to exist. You
Yeah.
cannot say for sure which one is better than the others and what's the dominant system today. They're all equally attractive, very interesting for spectators, for participants. The only thing is for participants, I would say the elimination system for those who end up tournament in first round. Maybe that's not
Right.
really
That's
interesting.
always the defect of.
Well, they can still
That's why
watch
people
other
try
games.
double elimination in chess. Yeah.
They can still study the chess and see other games or so on. But it's very, very interesting. At least this Swiss, there are two big Swiss tournaments. This one and Gibraltar tournament, which probably will be in January. I think next one is coming up.
Right.
And the next big tournament is, of course, St. Louis, the Grand Chess Tour. We have the round robin, and we have the combination of blitz and rapid play, which coming pretty soon. So we'll have another great event waiting for us. Well, with this, I would like to thank you so much for participating in today's program. And we'll see you next time next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken. Great choices of games.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Well, the players played them for me.
That's true.